Graham, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you coming over here.
Dude, the pleasure is all mine, and this is actually a dream come true for me.
Oh yeah, have you ever been on a podcast
I've never
before?
been on a podcast. I'm a podcast, a bit of a connoisseur, I would say.
Oh yeah.
So this is a dream come true.
All right, what are your favorite podcasts then?
Lewis Howes' School of Greatness.
Okay.
I've listened to that for about a year now, and it is incredible. You would probably love it.
Never heard of it.
I listened to his interview with Kobe this morning, and it was just exceptional.
When did they do that?
So I guess he did the interview a while ago, but he kind of like re-released it with a bit of a preface about in wake of what happened. He kind of reposted this episode, and he kind of told a before and after anecdote as well. So, anyways,
yeah.
And then the other one I'm on is The Daily.
Okay.
And that's NPR's, and I listen to that on my commute to the gym. That's a more recent thing. I'm trying to stay more informed, to be more.
Oh yeah, and NPR. I love NPR so much.
Too.
That's the place. Yeah, that's the place to go. They are as neutral as they can be. Like it's like the most neutral. They do lean left, I think, but at least they give people a shot to actually like talk and give
I just like
perspective.
On this podcast they do really good like kind of journalism really, and just the stories that they tell are great.
Yeah,
so
for real.
Yeah.
Actually, I was going to loop back to the Kobe thing because I saw that you post a lot of like 2K or like some NBA live clips.
Dude,
are you on that? Are you on that train as well?
No, like so the only Noah and I have been like playing like 2v2, and we kind of have just gotten in this we used to do this with FIFA where we try to just get the craziest screamers to go in, like half court shots, and now we're on NBA. Like I'm pretty bad at like the actual game itself, but Noah and I are doing these alley oops, and we're trying to figure out like what the craziest stuff we can do is. So.
Did you grow up playing a lot of video games? Or
No. So video games, like maybe people don't know this, like I'm a huge like League of Legends guy and like World of Warcraft.
LOL.
I played a ton of I still play League a bit, but I played a ton of like WoW back in high school.
And pay for it too. That was it was such a commitment.
Yeah, it's
Blizzard.
A lot. Yeah, Blizzard. But like huge place in my heart. But I grew up playing PC games, right? So like I never really got on the like Xbox or like PlayStation train.
Okay.
So and I don't play as much as I used to now.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask if you played Street Volume 2. That was the best. It's because I never got into basketball games, but that game was...
NBA Street?
Oh, yeah.
Bro.
That was the best.
So good. That and the other one that was crazy was Burnout. Burnout 3.
Yes.
Takedown or whatever it's called. Yeah.
No, that's exactly it. That was the wildest
classic,
game.
Man.
They had some decent racing games with like the Need for Speeds were okay, but Burnout Takedown was definitely my favorite racing game
Endless,
back
then.
Man. There were a lot of classics. I mean, I was on the Halo train growing up, so Halo 3. I've always been more of an Xbox kind of guy.
Yeah.
But
I know Miles loves Halo, and so does Noah. They're more of the
for sure.
Yeah, console gamers, I guess you'd say.
Yeah. So tell us about growing up in Atlanta. Yeah, what was like elementary school?
Yeah, I mean, born and raised in Atlanta, lived there my whole life until I came here. Grew up, went to like kind of a small elementary school that was kind of like artsy. We didn't really have like your standard like science or math classes. It was more like I like learned to knit. I did some like woodworking. That was cool, and grew up, obviously with Miles, my brother, and we, I guess, topically speaking, played a lot of music together. Just like, that's a common thread that goes back to day one. Really just grew up in our basement, banging on things, making noise.
Yeah, does like the band stuff? There's like choir and all that stuff, but does band really start till like middle school? Isn't that how it usually goes? So yeah, you just had to do everything on your own.
Well, yeah. I guess by the time I got to high school is when I really started taking. I took piano lessons when I was a little kid, but that it was like And then I eventually, like, when I got to high school, started doing band, and I was not a very good band student. I am still not a very good student of music theory. I've learned a bit more just from Noah and Val and Miles, who are a bit more clued into that stuff. But in band, I was not a very good student. I kind of would try to make up my own parts, or improvise a little bit. And
why not?
But I do want to share like one thing that is just huge that came from that time. Is still sticks with me. My band teacher was like, music starts with silence. And he'd say that, and there'd be this big classroom full of kids who had ADHD and were just like going crazy. And he'd say it until we all came to center, took a breath, silence, and then started our song. And that's still, sticks with me, and I'm sure it will continue to stick with me.
That's huge. So Miles was always on the drums. Did he pick up any instruments, or were you like the instrument side and he was always just...
Yeah, he's always played drums, and I got a guitar, and I only recently kind of learned how to play like piano, kind of through necessity, like with playing shows. I mean, I've always enjoyed like fiddling with it, but guitar was always kind of like my main thing,
Got you.
Yeah.
So in high school, that's when you started. I guess like high school band.
So I guess the lead in there is like. In high school, I met Val, and Val was in band as well, and Val is like just an animal. Like
he's your guitarist.
Yes, yeah. So we've known each other since, I guess, I was a sophomore and he was a freshman in high school, and at this time, like myself, Miles, and this kid Mark, who played bass, we had this little like jam bandy thing going on, and then we kind of like one day linked up with Val, and I just like I still remember like when Val started like playing guitar over these little songs we had. I was like, whoa, like that can happen, I mean, he just still has like this magic to him where he just adds this whole other dimension to a song. So from then on, it was kind of like he joined that thing, and we've just kind of now we're here.
Yeah. Religious? Did you grow up like religious at all, or playing in any kind of church bands?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
All right. So when did is it Noah Christian?
Yeah.
Noah. So when did you end up picking up your bassist? Was it shortly after high school, or like take us through that time after?
Yeah. So the short journey of it is I graduated first, then Val graduated the year after me, and then Miles graduated the year after Val. So when I graduated, they were both still in high school, and I went to Emory, Emory University in Georgia?
I don't.
Emory's like a big university down in Georgia, and my dad actually teaches there, and I got into kind of like their satellite campus. And I went there for half a year, and I was like, man, this is really small. There's no like music. I had some great friends, but I just wasn't being fulfilled like musically. And I knew Val was going to go to Belmont, so I applied to Belmont and got in and transferred there halfway through my freshman year.
Good for you.
And then Val came the next year. Miles came the year after that, and there was all kinds of shifting and morphing and different growing experiences in that whole time. But to answer your question, I met Noah through a friend. And Noah had actually transferred in too, and we were living on the same hall but didn't know it. And one day, like I think I'd gotten wind that he played bass, and I just kind of was like, "Hey, we have a show in Atlanta. Do you want to come play?" And he was like, "Okay," and then
nice,
clicked, man.
Okay,
like,
so you were living
back.
here. Okay, so that was in college, and you were living here and playing shows in Atlanta.
We were playing shows like
all over the place.
Yeah, kind of all over the place. Like that whole time, like we would go and play in like Texas. We would go and play in Florida. Just wherever anyone was like, "Hey, like we like your music."
For sure.
Like, "Oh, let's go,"
For sure.
So.
Well, that's really cool.
Yeah,
that's really
cool. So that's kind of the short version of that. Yeah.
All right, so you're a Belmont band. That's great.
Well, I definitely wouldn't coin us a Belmont band because we all dropped out.
Nice. That's Well, that's the real tale of basically every Belmont student that I talk to is they always drop out.
Yeah, I dropped out. Noah and I dropped out. I guess after our sophomore year. Val dropped out after his like freshman year. Miles dropped out after a semester.
Okay.
So we've kind of we all
separated yourself from
yeah.
there. That's my bad. I shouldn't.
No,
have called you a
dude,
Belmont band.
no. I mean, Belmont is like cool, and I endorse like people going there, and I endorse what they have, you know, like going on. I just feel like our path has differed from that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you go into music business?
I was a songwriting major there.
Songwriting,
Actually,
okay.
yeah. So I had like songwriting class or whatever. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, did that teach you anything like, from what you had been writing? You know, at this time, did you already put out I Never Knew and all that stuff?
Well, I guess what I would say
is later.
Is like, I became a songwriter after I left Belmont.
Okay.
That's, you know, the way that I would answer that question. Like, the class was cool, but I was not a songwriter until I didn't start my songwriting journey until after I dropped out, probably summer of 2018.
Okay.
Was when I think, yeah.
And did you have any like false expectations going into that, thinking that it would, you know, maybe make something of you that, you know, you
just
were
going to
do?
Belmont?
Yeah.
I think it was like the logical next step for me to get out of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew Val was going there, and I knew I wanted to play music with Val, and it just felt like I got into the songwriting program. I was like, okay, this is probably, you know, that's not easy. Maybe that's a sign that I should go there. I got into this program. Why not? Let's see how this goes.
Okay.
And I think when we dropped out too, I was pretty like, you know, I'm glad I dropped out, but I was definitely like a little bit, I think, I'm going to drop out, I'm going to get famous. It's like, that's not how that works, you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of legwork to put in. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
It just takes a lot of time.
No doubt,
really.
man.
When did you start writing, or I guess coming up with the songs that you released on Spotify in 2018, like I Never Knew or Something I've Been Waiting On? When did you start writing those, and when did you release them?
So the band had 5 songs out before any of that. So Hardcastle actually had like 5 songs on Spotify. One of them like got on this viral the viral chart, and then we were playing, and I'm sure we're gonna get to this later, but like maybe this is a good tie-in. This is kind of a long answer, but I think it'll make sense and come around. We were playing with the band Camino, watching them on stage. Our minds were being blown. We're in St. Louis. There's like 75 people there or something, and we're like for the first time, and I'm like, oh man, like what, like this is honest songwriting. This is earnest, authentic music, and I don't feel like I can have I don't think the music that I think the music that I have put out is a looking for a quick win because it sounds like, you know, the band, the flavor of the month. You know what I'm saying? And so we took all that music down, and I was like, you know, I have to get better at songwriting. How am I going to get better at songwriting? Because I've always loved playing music, but I've always kind of feared the songwriting process. It's scary, you know? Like, so I started doing co-writes, right, which is like the Nashville thing, and I kind of reached out to like anyone and everyone I could in that summer to just write with someone else. And some of those people were my peers, and some of those people were people that were a little bit farther ahead in their careers and lives. And one of those people was this guy Ben Kramer, who goes by Old Sea Brigade, and I knew him from high school because his younger brother was in my grade, and we had kind of gotten lunch here and there, and he lives in Nashville, and we linked up and wrote a song together. It was really cool, and we linked up again, and we started I Never Knew, and that's how that happened. And from there, he ended up going and producing like the next. He did I Never Knew, Invisible, Something I've Been Waiting On, and Back to You, and Chastain Lately. And he's written on a couple of those tracks as well.
Okay.
So, but man, like that whole summer was like co-writing. And then the other thing I did, I was working out with Bryant Lowry,
the
drummer for Jet Black.
Yeah.
Every day I would wake up at like 6 or 7 a.m. and go to the gym with him. And I lost a ton of weight. Okay. I had ego death. I learned about songwriting. I fell in love with songwriting. It was very transformative, but I worked really hard, man.
Because he's probably a bit older than you, and
he's a bit older. Yeah.
So, and I was wondering that too, just doing that whole, that last podcast. I was like, where did they get Bryant from? Like, they pulled this dude straight out of a GQ magazine. Like,
I know, right? Yeah, no,
like,
I know.
He's a drummer. Like, he has no business being a drummer.
He is. He's a beast in all areas of his life, and he's been a great positive influence. We still work out together. I wake up at 8 a.m. and I wake up and we go to the gym and we talk about our lives and work out. It's great.
That's
it's
awesome.
Amazing.
I
owe a lot to him, because I think the songwriting work that I was doing independent of that, and then going and like learning about like self-discipline and like hard work in the mornings, like really shaped me that summer and set a lot of things in motion.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's like throwing yourself into a huge discomfort zone. Like that's how that's how you learn. Just like wake up early and work out. That's like the last thing you want to do.
Yeah.
So that'll definitely bring out a lot of creativity.
Right. And and then I guess I think something I've been waiting on. I know the verse for me touches on that. What I was experiencing, where I could literally see like calluses on my hands from just doing it, and that.
When's the hard work going to pay off, kind of thing?
Yeah, and like, well, and also, for me, my, what I really try to live by is like, it's something that I'm working for, but I'm happy to work towards it because I just love the process of it, and I'm not like, every win's a huge victory to me, and even better, the losses are like, great, what now? You know what I mean? And like, I have so many goals, I have so many ambitions, I'm so far from where I want to be, like, and I don't think I'll ever be where I want to be. And I acknowledge that, but so it's like, if that's the reality in my life, like, I just have to love the process.
Yeah, it's a choice that you have to make, and everything in life comes down to a choice.
Dude, I've spent so long before summer of 2018, so long trying to game the system, play the socials, do the takedown, make your profile image white, and then have your rebrand. And if the songs aren't there, that shit doesn't matter. And it just doesn't. Like, if the content isn't there, it just doesn't matter. So, yes, like, I have done that whole game, but that's the old Hardcastle that was taken off of Spotify. That's like the self that was before that summer that I was just talking about, of kind of like, ego death and like figuring out like, I need to work really, really hard before I put out a song. And when I put out that song, it has to mean everything to me. And then I can do something with social media about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then not get so caught up in all the negativity and the less than feeling, because we're all, it's such an easy game to compare yourself to. You're looking at everyone else. It can really bring you down. So you gotta kind of like block that out, basically.
Dude, the blinders are everything, man. I'm telling you, like, if you want, like, seriously, like, it's blinders. Like you just you can't, because it doesn't matter. And at the blinders, I look left and right all the time. You know what I mean? Like, for sure. But there's a decision that you have to make where it's like, okay, I'm putting the blinders back up and I'm going to look forward and I'm going to, write 50 songs and I'm going to go, do this, and this. And then, that's it. Like, you can't get distracted by that stuff. So
exactly.
Yeah. But that said, I do fully like endorse social media. I think it has its place, but
exactly.
You got to have your heart in it. You got to care about what you're doing on a very personal level before you try to like game the system or do some sort of like social campaign. In my opinion,
there is a balance for sure, and just doing it for you is, it's something that, like doing it for yourself is something that you have to come to terms with before you start out, putting out any kind of creative content.
Right. Well, if you have like a solid, if you have something that you care about, like, it's a lot easier, I think, to like grapple with if you are experiencing negativity, like, well, there's more of a solid foundation than throwing something up because you think people are going to like it, and when they don't like it, you're like, oh God, everything's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, but if you like it for yourself, it's a little bit easier to be like, man, that sucks. All right, what can I do better? But I still stand by this song. I can still listen to it and think about, you know, wow, that really came from a true place in myself.
Yeah,
So.
you know, go at it from a learning experience and just know that your first, you know, they don't call it a shitty first draft for nothing.
Right, no doubt, man.
So, I mean, I've tried my hand in, you know, in the writing field and just like trying to hone exactly what it is I want to do.
Right.
Do you struggle with any kind of, I guess, like depression or anxiety or self-doubt when it comes to, you know, just like your daily life?
Yeah, man, like all the time. And when so I want to answer this question with first acknowledging, like, I, you know, have had a relatively privileged life so far. I haven't had to struggle with like serious clinical anxiety or clinical depression. So like the answer that I'm about to give, you know, I want to like acknowledge that, because people like, you know, to say that anxiety is something that you can like overcome and battle, like, you know, might be easier for me to say than it is for someone who is like really severely clinically dealing with that stuff. So, but with that said, like, yes, every day I doubt myself. Every day I have anxiety. Every day I have moments of depression. But it doesn't win. What is the point? Like, we're here, we get one shot at life, and, you know, if you're going to let that stuff drag you down, like, it's like, what's the point? You know what I mean? And if you find purpose, fulfillment, and passion in what you're doing, and you really care about what you're doing, it's a lot easier to navigate those things, you know, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And then also, again, having something like, there's nothing like physical activity to work through some of that stuff too, you know? I think it's important to acknowledge those things, because sometimes you need to listen to your instincts. And when your instinct is telling you, you know, if you're having some anxiety about, I don't know, if I'm having anxiety because our show isn't selling enough tickets, and I'm like, oh my God, like maybe I'm like, okay, I need to do better. What can I do better? What can I fix? What can I change to fix this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
Absolutely does.
So it's part of being human. I just read this book called The Existentialist Survival Guide that my dad gave to me, and had a chapter on anxiety, also had a chapter on depression. It's a really good book. Anxiety sometimes lets us know that we are free. We might have some sort of, you know, agency over our future because we can worry about what ifs, you know? And I took a lot of insight from that. It's like, you know, it's a reminder that we're human and that there's possibilities.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love learning about that stuff too. And that's why I've asked every guest that comes on here about it, because I just think it's so strange, basically, with the, you know, our new media influenced culture.
Dude,
basically.
no doubt. Yeah.
It just basically spikes. And have you been to like therapy at all?
No, but I definitely want to do therapy eventually. I don't have anything against it. I'm not someone who I like endorse therapy. I have friends who go to therapy, but I haven't gone myself.
Yeah. My thing is you can just go to therapy even if you're at a good place in life.
Yeah.
So, but anytime I can just talk to someone, especially a professional, very personal details about my life, and then they can kind of guide me as to what my thinking patterns are, or something like that. So yeah, I went like full bore into the whole. You know, I did so much research. Like one of my first podcasts, I just talked about all the things that were important to me, and that one, along with, you know, a bunch of other topics, you know, I'd finally found my I guess like self-education outlet, basically, of something that really piqued my interest. So I ask everyone that comes on here, because how does, you know, someone who is accepting of the social responsibility of going out there and putting themselves out there, clicks is just like a necessary evil to the whole game.
I love my depression. I won't say my depression again. I don't feel like I'm super. I love my anxiety. I love my self-doubt. I'm thankful for it. I'm grateful for it. I would not be who I am without it. It fires me up so much. And you know, we'll see what happens in 5 years. You know, we'll see where I am. But for now, like, you know, it's a part of me that I hug and accept and say, you know, thank you for rearing your head. Now I'm going to go to work so that you can shut up. You know what I mean? So
that's a good way of thinking about it.
Yeah,
I like your mindset.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, it's
you got to be that way.
It's a work in progress, and I definitely am not perfect with this stuff because you know, I don't mean to like front like I'm some enlightened being who is never has like problems. I got problems, man. Yeah, I'm a songwriter. You know,
the punches.
I'm a song. Yeah, I mean, but there's you know, I like to think that I have some control over my reactions to my problems.
Yeah.
So.
And fan outreach. What has your fan outreach really been looking like? So, you know, like, has it just been like a surreal thing for you to reap the benefits of going to a show and you know, experiencing all the, I mean, I'm assuming just all positivity that comes from your fans for the most part.
Like, having fans in the first place is just still very humbling, and like, I kind of have to take a second to be like, wow, there are people out there who like the music that I make, you know? Oh my God, it's incredible. And playing shows, nothing beats that because of the personal interaction. I mean, no doubt, you know? And thankfully, our fans seem to be very engaged and interested in talking with us, and we're always interested in talking with them. And there is so much positivity. Which is incredible. And then on social media too, because we haven't done too many shows recently. We're gonna start doing more here this year. It's been great to keep up with people on our socials, you know, and that's a great way for us to stay connected and interactive. I really like being connected to whoever's consuming our music, as best I can.
Yeah. Man, I really like Jet Black's thing where it's like basically a mail service, like a physical mail.
Yeah, I listen to that.
Oh, that is just such a good way of, you know, because you could just now send out you got a bunch of people, not only on an email list, everyone's going crazy off email lists, but they're going on like snail
I heard
mail
about that.
list.
I mean, that was like, I was like, dang, Joe, and shout out to those guys. Of course, man, they have been big influences for us as well, because you know, we were doing that stuff with them together.
I mean, that's those are your homies. So you guys used to, so in going back to 2017, this one's all out of order. Going back to 2017, you know, that time when you guys were just playing a whole bunch of shows with Camino. You know, take us through that and you know everything that went along with that. That's got to be so much fun.
Oh man, that was such a great time. Again, this was back when we weren't playing I Never Knew, something I'm waiting on back to. Playing like this whole other set. But we linked up. So like going back even before that, when I first came here, I knew I wanted to play at the High Watt. I knew I wanted to play with Jet Black Alley Cat. And I was like, how the hell am I going to get on their radar? How am I going to get a show with them? What do I got to do to get a show with these guys? And finally we connected. I forget where our first show was, but we finally like connected. And dude, our first show was with Camino in St. Louis, I think.
Okay.
And it was the moment we all connected and like in person and played a show together. And I think that just kind of, we were all like, wow, we're all really like-minded. We all love the same kind of like ethos. We want to work together. We all like each other's music.
You all live relatively close
together. We all live relatively close. And then from there was like this domino effect of like show trading, which was really big for us, you know, where we would kind of trade shows, maybe book a few shows together on like a tour together, and do that. And then obviously we've all kind of had our separate paths since then, which has been incredible to watch, you know, anyways. Real. But all those guys are just huge. I mean, like I said, you know, I remember watching, Camino was playing I Spend Too Much Time in My Room in St. Louis, and we were all like standing by the side of the stage, and like that like thing on the drums came in, and I just looked at Miles and I was like, man, like this is crazy. This is it. Like this is, you could just tell that they were going to become who they're becoming. And then
it wasn't a lot then, but it was palpable.
Dude, it was like, I feel like the magic was there then equally. I think like this, like the spark was there, unlike anything I'd seen and not that I even like knew it on like a super like cerebral level. It was just like an you know, energy and attraction.
Yeah.
And then the same thing like with like Joe has been a mentor to me. I mean, the way that guy works a crowd is just like ridiculous. The amount of passion he has, his voice is incredible, and his willingness to collaborate and work hard, you know, and same with all those guys.
Yeah.
But those were, and we were the youngest in that group, and I think having those kind of role models to look up to was big for us.
Wow.
Very big.
Yeah.
We kind of took, I guess you maybe could say, a couple steps backwards to take some leaps forwards. Meaning we took down our songs. I went and did all that stuff with writing that I was talking about. Meanwhile, you know, we're watching Camino spend that year linking up with Jameson, and then they did these 2 tours with Dangerous Summer and Night Game, and then eventually like Ben Rector, and we watched that happening. And throughout that year, we'd go to the gym together too, sometimes, and that was awesome just to kind of like see. They actually moved in to a house like 20 houses down from us at this time too, so we kind of have like
the 12 South area.
We're still kind of near you over in the like Harding area. Yeah. And then Brian and I obviously continued to work out together, and us and Jet Black did a few shows, and so it's been awesome.
Stay connected as much as you can.
Yeah, definitely, and we're all kind of on our own journeys, but I know we all have each other's backs. It feels like, you know, in a lot of ways. Yeah. And I guess we then, after we did put out those songs, Camino had us open for them on that Love of the Game thing, which was like crazy.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
I was there.
Right, it's like so cool. What a great like time in life, man. Like that was crazy.
You have a few shows in March of this year, so where are those going to be at?
We're going, the ones that have been announced, we're going Cleveland down to Louisville down to Memphis. Okay. And then we've got a few more things to announce soon. But we're doing those 3 with Betcha, which is a band in Nashville that we've been friends with, but we've been friends with them for like 4 years or something, but we haven't been able to link up for shows until now. Okay. So that's fun.
Any artists that you would like to play with in the future?
Oh man, like so many, bro. But you know, I'm a huge fan of the Valley folks.
Oh yeah, well they opened up for Camino. They opened up for Camino, that's right.
Yeah, huge fan of those guys. So they're, you know, kind of top of mind, and we did a show where we opened for Angels and Airwaves with a band called like Weathers. Okay. And that was really fun. I'd like to do some more shows with them. Yeah, that was cool in Cincinnati. Wow. So and the list, we actually have like we've got kind of like a mental list of bands that we really would like to collaborate with. But I gotta say, there's this band Inhaler that I'm just got turned on to. We're on the same playlist on Spotify, and I listened to their song, and I was like, they're from the UK, so I'm just like, I hope we can do some shows with them.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like fun. Yeah. So is the plan to do a tour this year? Is that the?
Yeah, we're doing our best to, you know, obviously there's a lot of like, it's hard to lock down like a support slot like we did with Camino when you're not, you know, in direct connection with them or friends with them. So we're with William Morris, which is an agency. So we have an agent who is actively working that, and then we're also trying to figure out, you know, what we can do that's in our control to make sure that we have a busy year this year with shows. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's kind of the plan for now. And then we have more music to put out.
Yeah. So you just came out with "What If I'm Happy"?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a great track.
Thanks, man.
So yeah, when did you write that? What was the songwriting process about? And what's the feedback been ultimately?
I wrote the song. I went to LA to like do like a trip for writing.
Really?
By myself, yeah. Went out there.
That's special.
And it was awesome. I'm going back at the end of March, which I'm so excited about. But I got connected with this husband and wife, Danny and Sarah Emily Barrios, and they are writers who moved from Nashville out to LA. And we had 2 days together, and we wrote What If I'm Happy the first day, and then we wrote our next song that we're putting out the second day.
Oh, wow.
So we can talk about that after that comes out. But we wrote What If I'm Happy, and it was a very, very cool experience because it was kind of like we talked for a long time, and I was kind of frustrated because I had been writing all these songs for so long about this like relationship, and I had kind of like made my identity be like the guy who's battling like lost love, and that's all I could write about, as if I were there. But the truth is, I'm months and months and months removed from that reality. Time has gone on, and the thought of moving on though is like equally scary. So I'm just like cool with identifying myself as this guy who's like the heartbroken singer, you know. And I think it really started with the question, like, what if I'm happy? Like, that's scary to me because that means letting go of every story, and I'm letting go of the character who I am, of the story I am comfortable in that I've created in my head. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Detaching from that narrative is a scary thought. And then the song kind of came from that.
Yeah, and then you have the entire future to look forward to of, you know, it's, you know, that's just as daunting as it is.
It's kind of a pessimistic
Yeah.
outlook, which I really, you know,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit. But then the other half of this is I brought the song back, and I remember like I showed it to Val in his room, and he was just like, yeah, he was like all fired up. And we ended up working with our producer now, who has done the next records we'll do,
What's his name?
Kyle Dredden.
Kyle, okay.
He is our older brother, our mentor, our fifth member. It feels like
Nice.
already.
So he's
like
got a studio here in Nashville?
Yeah, we worked out at the studio Trace Horse.
Okay.
With this, which is an incredible studio with this guy Scotty and Preston, who also feel like studio members at this point, engineering the track. But the beautiful thing about this track was we had the lyric and melody and progression, but we got to jam it in the basement. We changed the bridge progression around. That was kind of something we came up with together. And then in the studio, it just came to life, man. Like, we live tracked most of that.
Really?
So most of what you're hearing is just us playing. The other stuff we did on top, but like, we can go down in the basement, play that song the way it is, because that was just how we did it. And that was a very like magical experience because we felt like we like got abducted by like an alien spaceship and spent like a week in this space, but really it was 2 days. And we just kind of like could do anything we wanted musically at the drop of a hat, and it was so liberating. It was awesome. And the same thing happened with the next one, and then more. There's more to come, obviously.
Just go in the studio and cocoon up, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
it's beautiful butterfly.
And we're very fast. Like, we are very instinct driven. Like, all like, for example, like Val will be laying out a guitar part, and I'll go, Kyle, I'm doing piano right now next. And Val comes in, and I'm closing the door behind me, and I go put the piano part down. And and we just follow the instinct. Like, and that, like, dude, like, it's all about the instinct. It's like, just follow your gut, your gut, you know. In business, you can think about it some more. Yeah. But in music, just follow your instinct. You know?
Band practice is determined by instinct.
Yeah, I mean, the growth just comes from us like trusting our hearts and listening to our hearts and each other and. Yeah.
Well, you guys are very, very good at playing together. I wish that one of those shows were in Nashville, and hopefully you will have more shows in this area.
There just might be.
I know that you will. I know that you know, you've got to, basically. Right. So I'm looking forward to those. And all the other, you know, future songs that you have to put out. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you doing this.
Dude, really, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm telling you, I've been wanting to do a podcast for so long.
Yeah. Well, now you have the opportunity. I just, you know, doing like a journal or something like that and just, you know, writing it all out just doesn't do it really for me. So I gotta have the conversation. Man, so much better.
Can I ask you, like what's on your mind for the future of your podcast? Like, what are some goals that you have in mind?
For me, just getting more equipment. I work full time in Franklin as a Honda technician.
Oh, okay, cool, gotcha.
So it's been pretty slow recently because of just like the weather, basically. Yeah. And it's commission. So when it's slow, I don't make any money, kind of thing. A lot of what I hope to, I just got my stuff on Spotify. I need to put it on Apple Music.
Right.
I mean, is iTunes even a thing? I don't have an iPhone. Is iTunes
Dude,
still a thing? Is it Apple Music?
I think Apple Music cannibalized iTunes. Like, you
Okay.
can't buy music anymore. Do you know that? Like, you can't spend it like at 99
Yeah,
cents to buy
yeah.
a song. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I hate Apple. But I mean, as far as for me, I would love to obviously get like cameras in here and definitely new equipment and
Oh yeah.
like an actual studio, so I don't have to do this in my living room.
Dude, the living room's cool, man. You got some plants.
Well, yeah, I mean, like luckily it's
good decoration.
Yeah, I mean, it's all my roommate. I mean, I moved in here. I can't take any credit for this. I moved in here December.
Okay.
So yeah, it's still pretty fresh for me too.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But yeah, so much stuff.
Well, I've enjoyed. I mean, I like this space, man. But that's awesome. Yeah. You got some goals.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely overwhelming because you have to be the editor,
right?
You have to be the interviewer, you have to be the one. You got to do
totally.
You got to do everything.
Dude,
so
yeah, totally. That's
a helping hand would definitely help.
Well, props to you for getting it done, man.
Like, I mean, I've got
no
to.
choice. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I mean, no choice.
Got to. Well, again, thank you so much for doing this, man.
Dude, of course. Thank you.